In today's show, we look back at the 10 games from Monday, including an injury to Karl-Anthony Towns. We'll talk about that injury, Ben Simmons' injury, big performances, and we'll also hear from Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com. And you can find me on Twitter as always, at redrock_Beeble, on TikTok, at redrock_Beeble as well. On Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball, and on Substack, joshloyd48.substack.com. That's free. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. All right, it's a big day. There are 10 games on. There are big injuries that we're going to talk about. We'll talk about that when we talk about those particular games. So, Wani.
Let's get it on, Gilly.
All right. Just a couple of little notes here. Precious Achiuwa, it's at least another 2 to 3 weeks from him. Surely nobody is holding Precious Achiuwa. Surely. But what that does do is it helps the value of the million power forwards that they have. Thad Young, Juancho Hernan-Gomez, Chris Boucher. We'll talk about that when we talk about the Raptors game later on in the show, but that's that. Is Chris Middleton coming back on Wednesday? I know that some sites / ESPN have taken the injured or out tag off him and made him game time decision, which is frustrating because obviously that's not the case and the Bucks haven't ruled that. But we don't have an update from the Bucks because they don't play until Wednesday. So this is, when I talked about in the show earlier today about the return of Middleton, we expected maybe end of this week. So hopefully this is when he's back, but I don't have any concrete information on that. So just be aware that changing of the injury tag on ESPN does not mean that there is information that he is starting. That also takes me to something else, which I know some people got dicked over with today. There was a misreporting of a news item on Clint Capella that appeared on Yahoo through RotoWorld. And it said that Clint Capella was out today. Now, obviously, Clint Capella wasn't out. He played. Someone just misread the report. So it is always worth doing, even if I tweet something or if you see in a report on RotoWorld or ESPN or Yahoo, and trying to find what the source is. Because if you just went onto that report about Clint Capella and clicked that source, it said that Capella was questionable. And then he was, and he got upgraded to in. He was never ruled out. And I think that's worth mentioning as well. Kemba Walker is in Dallas. Talked about that on multiple shows. I did a little YouTube short on it. Talked about it in the injury show. Talked about it even in the streaming show for tomorrow. Lots of talk on Kemba Walker, so I won't bore you too much here. I don't think he's worth adding in 12-team leagues. That is the final, well, not the final. That is my current decision on Kemba Walker. So let's look at the most added players on waiver wires over the last 24 hours. Number one was Seth Curry. Didn't work out particularly well today, did it? But he'd been playing really well. The problem with him is that I don't know that it sustains, or obviously it doesn't because it didn't sustain today. He was fine to add. He's probably fine to hold. I think he's just more going to be a back-end guy. The second one's embarrassing. I think if you are listening or watching this show and you added Tony Warren Jr., I apologize for calling it embarrassing. Why are you rushing to add this bloke? He went up 15% in the last 24 hours. I know he's allegedly returning Friday. That's cool. Remember last year in November, Ricardo, he won't be too far away. Maybe a week, maybe a day. Yeah, and then never returned ever. I'm not saying that he's not returning Friday because he probably is. I'm also not expecting anything from him. I wouldn't even take the risk personally. I think it's a waste. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong for Tony Warren's sake and for the Nets' sake. I don't really think it's worth doing. Pat Williams up 13%. Surprised that he'd been dropped in that many spots, but yeah, that's a solid ad. Why did Monty Morris go up 12%? I know he was back and available today, but he was dropped not because he was injured. He was dropped because he was bad. And the badness didn't change. Shouldn't have added him. Marvin Bagley up 12%. Well, since then he's appeared on the injury report as questionable, and we still don't know what the hell is going to happen with Stewart and Bay and Bogdanovic and Bagley, and who's going to play, who's not going to play. Yeah, it's fine. He's played really well the last two games. Of course, people who are Bagley supporters who think I unnecessarily hate on him would suggest that we ignore the 4 or 5 games before that. But he is worth adding. We just don't know if he's going to play tomorrow. Trey Murphy up 10%. I like that one. McCollum's out. Ingram's out. Sure. Killian Hayes up 9%. Worth doing as well. And interestingly, the big stiffy up 7%. I would have thought Bones Highland would have gone the other direction. He missed again today. And I don't know when he's coming back. Surely it's not too long. But he's only a fringe player anyway. And he was ruled out. So I don't know why that went up that much. That's interesting. The waiver wire most dropped players, I think, is even more interesting. A lot more stuff that is worth discussing on this list. And that's exactly what we're going to do now. Because a lot of the names that were dropped here are quite reactive. Emmanuel Quickly down 17%. I know on Sunday he shit the bed. He played 9 minutes, he had a sore knee. He is questionable. But as I detailed on the show today, the streaming show earlier today, the Knicks have one of the best schedules this week. So, yeah, I know it's frustrating. But you can get some real value out of Quickly this week. I wouldn't have been that quick to drop him everywhere. And absolutely, I wouldn't have been that quick to drop Jalen Durant. Pistons one of only 2 teams to play on Thursday. Stewart and Bagley are both questionable for Tuesday. They play on 3 low-volume games in a row. I would not drop him for that. Larry Nance down 10%. I get it. People aren't as big a believers in Nance as what I am. I've got no problem with... actually, I'm not even that big a believer in Nance, but I do think he's worth holding. Even today, with Nance out, Valanciunas played 20 minutes. Nance is a drop in a points league. I get that. So maybe that's what it is. Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, again, his schedule is really good for this week. He's not playing particularly well, but it's a great schedule. I get dropping him, though. Jalen Suggs down 10%. I'm okay with that. Tyus Jones down 9%. Drop him, no problem. Tim Hardaway down 9%. The conundrum of Tim Hardaway. Dreadful, but great schedule.
Get that garbage out of here!
The only reason I would keep him is go, well, maybe in 2 of the 3 games this week on the low volume days, he pops off. Maybe, but probably not. And then Mo Bamba down 9% as well.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He didn't play today. Paolo's back. Bamba is bad. I get it. I get dropping him. Now, but with Carter out, there is still use in him. And I probably would have been a little bit more reluctant to drop him, a little bit more interested in holding him, given the absence of Wendell. But he's bad. Simple as that. Today's episode is brought to you by Turo. They're not bad. Turo's good, in fact. Turo is the world's largest car sharing marketplace. With Turo, you can book any car you want, wherever you want it, from a community of local hosts. Browse a huge selection of vehicles for just about any occasional budget across the US, the UK, Canada, and Australia. Book a spacious SUV or minivan for a family road trip. Get a classic or luxury car for a special event, a holiday, or a birthday. Find an affordable economy car if you're on a budget, just to get you from A to B. Or test out that new electric vehicle you've been eyeing off to see how it fits into into your daily life. That's what I'm trying to say. Many Turo hosts can even deliver that car right to you. Every trip is backed by liability insurance. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Forget boring rental cars and find your drive at Turo.com. Okay, shall we get into the games? Let's do it. Wolves Wizards. First game up. Let's start with the big one here. Karl-Anthony Towns. It was a bad-looking injury. I don't know what more to say. Like, it looked bad. It was a non-contact injury. He was pushing off. He grabbed the back of his calf. Exactly like what would happen if you popped an Achilles. As simple as that. He couldn't really move. He had to be carried off the court. Let's get a couple of misconceptions out of the way. Someone said to me, hey, he couldn't be an Achilles because he didn't go off on a stretcher. Blatantly false. Right? You can walk off on an Achilles injury. We've literally seen Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant, 2 of the most famous Achilles tears of all time, though they just walked off the court. Right? That can happen. Can't be an Achilles because the initial diagnosis is a strained calf. Well, Kevin Durant's Achilles was diagnosed as a strained calf. That's happened before. In saying that, I actually don't think it's an Achilles. I did fear the worst. He did grab a little bit higher up on the calf, and Woj's reporting is saying they're optimistic that he's avoided a catastrophic injury, which would be the Achilles. Okay, so we've got that out of the way. I do think he's avoided the Achilles. I do think that. It's not an ACL 100%. I've got no concerns about that being an ACL. Not a problem at all. So they're diagnosing as a calf strain. But also it's worth remembering that while a calf strain sounds like nothing, it does sound like nothing. Damian Lillard had a calf strain. He's out for 2 weeks. He's also restrained that calf and he's out for more time. But a calf strain has varying issues here, varying lengths, varying severities. Yeah, if it's a if a grade 3 calf tear, this might be 3 months, it might be 4 months, it might be surgery, it might be 6 months, it might be season over. That's possible. It might be, I would say minimum it's 2 weeks here for Towns, probably more likely 3 to 4 weeks, but it's going to be time off. I've got no doubt about that it's going to be time off for him. But until we get that information tomorrow, we just don't know. What are they going to do? I'll tell you what I can pretty much rule out. I don't think they're going to start Naz Reid. I feel really confident they're not going to start Reid and Gobert together. Reid will get all the minutes that Gobert doesn't play, but they won't play together. Taurean Prince is out. Jaden McDaniels is out at the moment. McDaniels should be back with the illness. Prince is still out for a few more games with the shoulder injury. I think my initial thought was they'll start Kyle Anderson, but someone brought up a good point to me, saying that the shooting there for Anderson is pretty bad. And that is true. He's not a great shooter. He's not the worst shooter, but he's not a great shooter. He's a low volume shooter. And that might just clunk some of the spacing up. But the thing is, he's a good passer. And he is the best player out of him, Jalen Noel, and Taurean Prince. Right, but they could start Noel, and they could push Anthony Edwards at the 3 and have McDaniels at the 4. The other thing they could do, which is what they're currently doing now, is have Edwards at the 3 and start a spud like Austin Rivers at the 2 with McDaniels at the 4. We wouldn't want to add Rivers, but what we would do is that gives a boost to Kyle Anderson, who gets 3 to 4 extra minutes, maybe 5, maybe 6. We get more minutes for Jalen Noel from 12 some games, 17, up to 24, 25. And then when Prince comes back, maybe he plays 25. And if that's the case, it's all messed up. None of those guys are going to be worth adding. I would probably prioritize Anderson, then Noel, and then Prince in that order. But I think they're just probably going to end up as back-end players, and there's a lot of different directions they can go. Again, the easy thing to suggest here would just be, well, McDaniels is sick. When he comes back, he comes in and replaces Towns, and they keep Austin Rivers for whatever reason starting, and Edwards is at the 3. Or they could put Anderson in, or they could put Prince in. There are a number of different ways they can go. But what I do know is that whoever replaces him, whether it is Rivers, whether it is Anderson, whether it is Noel, whether it is Prince, they're not going to have the same role as Towns. So other people need more usage. Russell's usage will go up. Edwards' usage will go up. Well, Noel's usage will go up. Gobert's rebounds will probably go up. Edwards' rebounds will probably go up. Edwards' passing will probably go up. Russell's assists will probably go up. Towns did so much for this team. So a lot of people are going to see increases in numbers. It is a tough call not knowing what the overall severity is going to be, how long he's going to be out, or whether there is an absolute clear-cut guy who's going to benefit. I don't mind taking that flyer on. Like if Jaden McDaniels is out there and only why, you grab him, right? That's the simple one. You grab him. He is going to benefit. He's not a great points league guy, but he will benefit in this scenario. Kyle Anderson would be next to me, and then Noel would be next to me, and then Prince would be next with Reid coming down the end. So I would try Anderson in a 12. I would consider Noel definitely in a 14, and Prince is more of a 14-team leaguer as well. And that's how I see that at the moment. But we'll find out more tomorrow, and I'll do more videos on that tomorrow when we hear about it. Now, to get into the actual game, where the Wolves got smashed by the Wizards, 142-127, Goose put up a really good net game. And for the second game in a row, Anthony Edwards was brilliant at the line, 10 of 11, 91%. He had 29, 8, and 2 with 2 steals. This is the key for him to push back up into that top 50. Gobert had 19 and 7 in 29 minutes, perfect from the field, perfect from the line. Of course, he and Edwards were both over negative 20, which is bad. Noel had 23 points on 69% shooting.
Giggity.
Of course, that's not going to stick, but that usage in minutes might be something to watch, while D'Angelo Russell had 17, 4, and 5. Kyle Anderson played 28 minutes, so they did go with him more. 8, and 4. That's a Kyle Anderson line. He's not going to be a big scorer. He'll rebound all right. He'll get assists. He'll get some steals. He might block your 0.8 shots. He might hit 1.4 threes. There's enough there to give him some value. And even so far for the season, Anderson is 164th this season in these limited minutes. So he probably does push to 12-team leagues. Austin Rivers did absolutely jack shit, 4 points in 24 minutes, while Towns was actually struggling before the injury. But if you want to talk about a bloke who wasn't struggling, and I do want to talk about a bloke that wasn't struggling, let's talk Porzingis.
Porzingis.
Career high 41 points, 6 triples, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 67% shooting. He was a guy that could get in the round 4 in a lot of spots, and so far it's paying off. Knock on wood. He doesn't get hurt. We don't know that, of course, but he's been great. Kuzma's also been great. He was a guy that I targeted a lot in the 90s because at that point of the draft, it was so hard to find anyone who would get any rebounds. I went, all right, I guess I'll take Kuzma. And I thought, all right, he's going to cop some hits to usage, but he's fine there. Well, he's exceeding expectations as well. He's the 80th ranked player, 23, 8, and 9. And with his usage spike and his assist rate spike, it's leaving guys like Monty Morris for nothing. Morris had 7 points with 1 rebound and 5 assists. He did contribute 2 steals, but played just 22 minutes in his return from injury. And there is absolutely no way that you should be rostering Monty Morris in a 12-team league.
Get that garbage out of here!
Yes, Jack Armstrong. Get that garbage out of here. Bradley Beal had 22, 1 and 5 with 2 steals. Not his best game, but he's been hyper efficient. While it was a solid enough game from Will Barton.
No, you will! No, he's ready to sack that. Run, Will! Give it off quick!
And by solid enough, I mean he had 3 steals, and that props it up. So you don't need to worry too much there. Denny Avdia, yeah, yuck. 19 minutes, 6 and 6 with 2 steals. We worried that what Avdia was doing, those triple doubles. Yeah, Beal and Kuzma and Morris were out. And that enabled Avdia to do more. They all came back, and he did jack shit. And that is not a surprise. We've seen that multiple times. I still really like Avdia. I still really like how he fits. I think the 19 minutes is ridiculous. But I don't think he's a must-roster 12-team league guy. And that's why I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure when we did the Week 7 preview, I talked about, hey, is he on the verge of breaking out? I don't mind him as a points league ad to see where this goes. But I also know that a lot of his production is being fueled by the absences of bigger players, and we'll have to really watch to see how it impacts him. Well, the answer is it impacted him pretty significantly. Not much else to really talk about in that game, I don't think, so we'll stop talking about it. Let's go to the second game with the Atlanta Hawks for the 3rd consecutive game. Coughed up a double-digit lead to lose to an undermanned Philadelphia 76ers, 104-101. DeJounte Murray played 40 minutes. Good for him. He shot a little bit better, 46%. But we are getting this line. I feel like we're getting this line every game from him. 17, 5, and 6, a steal and a block. Remember the 2 steals per game he used to get? Forget it. Remember 8 rebounds? No way. Remember 9.5 assists? I've never heard of her. Well, who's that? They don't exist for him anymore. He's the 72nd ranked player over the last week. He's now down to 22nd for the season after a hot start. And I feel like we're just getting the same shit every game for DeJounte. And this was exactly what I feared for him this year. Trae Young had 18 and 10. It's not bad, but not great. Well, the Baptist, how about Johnny Collins? 13 and 8, but 2 steals and 4 blocks. DeAndre Hunter did his thing. He had 18 points, and then you get a Sammy, don't you? You look at it and you go, oh, 18 points. We're getting there, boys. And then you look at the rest and you go, boys, girls, whoever you're talking to with your Sammy looking at DeAndre Hunter's 18 points. He had 18, 3 and 3, and that's it. Like, yeah, 64% is good, but he was 67 from the line, and he continues his absolute demolition path into the top 200. That's a bit unfair because he's not in the top 200. He's 208th. And that's why you need to jack him off vigorously.
Get that garbage out of here!
Clint Capella returned. He had 10 and 16, while Okongwu had 2 and 2 in 15 minutes. You know what? Jack Okongwu off as well. There's no point in holding on to him. You might as well hold on to Big Dick Nick Richards. It's the same thing at the moment. Don't worry about holding on to Okongwu. See you later. Justin Holiday played with Jalen Johnson out. 16 points with 4 threes. Not much else there. Don't buy into it. For the Sixers, the big fella Joel Embiid returned. He played 35 minutes. He had 30 and 8 with 7 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks, and went 12 of 13 from the line. And that is amazing. We love it. The Thick Hogsman was also really good. Tobias Harris.
I think I am a TH?
T to the H!
Yeah, TH for life.
Good for him. 24 and 10 with 3 threes. Unfortunately, nothing else at the right-hand side of the box score. But that's what Harris is. Use this time where these players are out to try and sell high. And if you get a top 60 guy back, you'll love yourself. Maybe. Shake Milton, 40 minutes. 21, 5, and 7. Again, 20 shot attempts, 7 assists, 40 minutes. What do these 3 things have in common? They have no chance of sticking around when players return. Oh, can Shake still get 30? No. No, he can't. Can Shake still be top 100? No, he can't. It's great now, and you have to debate it. Do I take a little bit of a hit to get a top 50 guy in return? Or do I just write out these insane numbers and hope that, for the sake of Milton's value, that Harden and Maxey stay out longer? In most cases, I'd probably just like to hold on and just enjoy that and then hope someone else pops up. But it's up to you. D'Anthony Melton, the wave pool, struggle from him. 9, 2, and 5 with 2 steals. Do not drop him. But with Embiid back, Paulie Reed was the backup, which is great. But of course, his value is gone. You don't have to hold him in 12-team leagues with Embiid back. We easily drop him. That is not a tough decision to make. Should we do the next game? Yeah, that's a great idea. Actually, it is actually a bad idea. We won't do that one just yet because I've got to tell you that today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. Every new potential hire for a small business can be game-changing. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. You go in, create the job. Simple. So straightforward. As easy as knowing not to roster DeAndre Hunter in 12-team leagues. In fact, I wonder if I could hire someone to tell everyone not to roster DeAndre Hunter. On LinkedIn Jobs, I'd have that ability. I'd do it. I'd put the ad out, and then I'd go onto my profile and have the hashtag or the purple hashtag hiring frame to let people that I was hiring for this very specific task. With the right screening questions, you can make it easier to focus on the candidates with just the right level of hatred of DeAndre Hunter and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. It's also why DeAndre Hunter fans rank it last. But, oh well, that's fine. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. This is the next game, so we are going to do it now. Wow, what a surprise. The Raptors smacked the Cavs 180-88. The Donovan Mitchell assist watch, they're bad. They are dropping like flies. Over the last week, Donovan Mitchell is back in the most, I don't know what the right term is. He is the most familiar with being ranked 45 of anyone I've ever seen, and over the last week, he's 45th. I think he was 44th, 45th, 45th for his first 3 NBA seasons, then had a bit of a step up last year. But with the assist dropping off, which was always expected, he's fallen away. And then he turns in a 27% shooting performance. Shit night from Mitchell. Don't panic too much, but understand that top 10 stuff wasn't going to stick. Darius Garland had 18, 4, and 10 with 3 steals and a block. Very good. And Mobley started at center and had 18 and 15 with 2 blocks. Well, this season, the data is telling us that anecdotally, him at center is providing better fantasy numbers. And that's good. Don't know whether that sticks, though. Isaac Okoro couldn't have had a worse game, I reckon. 2 points on 9% shooting. Yep, that's cool. Sick. And then they also started Dean Wade, who had 8 and 6 with a steal. Now, Wade, I think, will continue to start even when Allen is back, but that doesn't mean that he's a 12 or a 14 or probably even a 16-team league guy. And I also don't think that Dracaris LeVert is worth it either. 8, 6, and 3 in 29 minutes. I would not bother with him in 12-team leagues. I had multiple people ask me, hey, LeVert hit the wire. Do I add him? No. You just leave him there. That's fine. The Raptors, I don't really know how to digest this one or to dissect it because Scotty Barnes returned. Great. Pascal Siakam returned. And the only guys that got out are the big sneeze, Precious Achiuwa and Otto Porter. But then they went with a lineup that started Juancho Hernan-Gomez and Thad Young over Scotty Barnes and Gary Trent. Okay. All right. I don't know what to make of it. So we're just going no guards. None at all. OG Anunoby's your shooting guard. Juancho's your 3, I guess. Weird lineup, weird blokes. They won. Anunoby's great. 20 points, 4 triples, steal, and a block, 62%. He's just cranking along with really good numbers. And Barnes only played 27 minutes. I do expect Barnes moves into the starting lineup really quickly. 11, 4, and 5, 3 blocks, 42%. Still obviously not taking that big step forward, but this was encouraging. But I'd be whatever the opposite is of encouraged with Gaz Trent. Not that he didn't play well. 14 and 7 on 44%. Steal is okay. But I don't know whether he's going to take the starting lineup job back. And if he's a 28-minute-a-night player versus a 34-minute-a-night player, then that's jackable. He's been really quite poor this season, Gary Trent, and a guy that I avoided really heavily in drafts because you know why. I don't believe in the steals, and I believed that there was a chance he would get benched this season. And so far, both of those things have come true. But would I automatically drop him here? I'd be a little bit loath to do that, but I'm not ruling that out as a possibility. Thad Young, 26 minutes, 10 and 7 with 3 assists. It's a solid line. Will he continue to start over Barnes or over Trent? Well, I think Barnes will replace Juancho. So Young could start for a bit here, but there's still Precious and Otto to come back, and I don't really know how they're going to do it. There's still the mess, though. There's still the mess of Barnes and Siakam and Young and Juancho and Boucher, who's the one who lost out today. Boucher played 22 minutes for 5 points. So I don't know that Young remains a must-roster play. He's only 123rd over the last week anyway. So if you did have someone you wanted to get into your lineup and Boucher, or not Boucher, or we'll talk about Boucher in a second, or if he was there, old mate, on the bench, who am I talking about? Thad Young was there at the end of your roster, and if you wanted to move on, you move on. I don't think it's a killer loss. And I think we almost can say the same about Chris Boucher, because it was a stinker, and we always worried that when players returned, what would he do? And the answer is nothing. Nothing. And it's still Achiuwa and Porter to come back. He will be better than this some nights. 5 points in 22 minutes, only took 4 shots. But not necessarily. I don't think you need to hold him. You can, but I don't think you need to. Bit of a buy low here for Fred VanVleet. 13, 2 and 5 with 3 threes on 33%. People tend to be angry at Fred VanVleet at the moment. So I think you can buy low. Well, massive return from Siakam. 18, 11 and 5 in his first game back, which is a cracker, especially if you're waiting on that return to boost your fantasy squad. Let's go to the next one. The Charlotte Hornets get their asses kicked in a very, very big way by the Boston Celtics. They were without a lot of players, obviously, in that lineup, and it's going to make it tough for them. They were out. LaMelo Ball was out, Terry Rozier was out, Gordon Hayward was out, Dennis Smith was out, so they had to start Teo Maledon. The Salt Fleek gets the start. 39 minutes, 11, 4 and 8 with 3 steals. Do we think that Maledon's an ad? Not really. Like, a lot of events had to occur simultaneously for him to get that start, and they don't play until Friday. So the odds that Rozier, Smith, or Ball, that all of those guys are out again on Friday, seems very, very low. So I wouldn't go and add Maledon based on this game. Jalen McDaniels, 24 points, 4 threes. Always look, how did he do it? 75%. So it's not going to stick. All right. He's a guy that I think will get a marginal boost. But if Ball plays the next game, then I don't think Jalen's a 12-team league player. Because the guy who replaces Oubre, or replaces Hayward, as I spoiled it, Hayward in the lineup, is Oubre. It's not McDaniels. So this is good, and he's okay to have, no problem. But they play Friday. It's a high-volume day. Is he worth holding for that time? I'm not sure that he is. Oubre had 22 points, shot really efficiently, had 2 steals. He's been a great steals guy this season. He's had some other fantasy issues for sure, and in points leagues, he's much better than category leagues. But I think the value is going to continue for a while, now that Hayward is out. And I really liked what Bryce McGowan's did. 10, 2 and 6 with 2 triples in 25 minutes. I don't think it's controversial to say he's better than James Bouknight already. It's also not controversial to say that I don't think he's going to play that much as we move forward this season. Big Dick Nick had 7 and 7, while the Cockroach, Mason Plumlee, had 4, 4 and 5. We're not worrying about adding Nick, I don't think. And we still hold Mason in certain situations, while PJ had 16, 2 and 2. Not his best night, but not his worst. On the Boston side, Al Horford's back. What a man, it flared up. Can you believe that Al Horford and the back spasms, it got him again? Man, what are the odds? At some point, he's going to get some luck on one of these back-to-backs, and the stiffness just won't occur. Because he did tell us, of course, that he was playing back-to-backs. He wouldn't lie. It's Al Horford. He's not going to lie to us about that stuff. It's just terrible luck. So, yeah. He was out of this game. Jaylen Brown had neck stiffness as well, but Jason Tatum returned. And this was just a game that they just dominated, really. 2 starters out, so remember that when we look at these numbers. But Marcus Smart had 22, 2 and 15. Huge game. Tatum had 35 in under 30 minutes with 4 threes, 2 steals, and a block. Brogdon had 21, 5 and 6 in 23 minutes. It's great. It's good numbers. He does need players out to have value. Same as Derek White, who had 15, 2 and 6. They're really good lines. They also shot 89% and 63% respectively, which won't stick. The usage won't stick. The minutes won't stick. They're fine to have, but they're also fine to not have when the time is right. I'm not sure Grant Williams is even worth having now, though. 8 points in 22 minutes. He did have 2 steals. He had 2 threes. The volume is so low for Grant Williams, I don't really know why we're bothering holding him. In fact, I don't think we are. I think he can go. Blake Griffin, 22 minutes replacing Horford, 9 and 4. He had a dunk, which was cool. Well, Sam Hauser hit 3 threes, one of the best 3-point streaming options out there. But this game was so weird, we had 9 minutes of Justin Jackson. Yeah, he plays for the Celtics. Game 5. It is the Brooklyn Nets. They hosted the Orlando Magic. And they barely win. Brooklyn does. 109-102. And I'll tell you why that's embarrassing. I'll tell you in 1 second. Because the guys that were out of this game, it's ridiculous. No Wendell Carter, no Karl-Anthony, no Jalen Suggs, no Mo Bamba, no Markelle Fultz, no Terrence Ross, no Chuma Okeke, and no Lord Voldemort. That is 8 rotation players. Now you could make an argument that some of those guys like Okeke or Ross or even Bamba might not be rotation players on a healthy team. But that's 8 rotation players. They started a bloke by the name of Caleb Houston, and he's so bad he can't even spell his surname correctly. 3 points for Caleb in his 31 minutes. Wagner playing through the hand issue, 21, 2 and 2 with 2 steals. And Bol, the sell high on Bol is absolutely high. It's as high as he is. 24, 6 and 2, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 3 threes. People love Bol. They absolutely froth this bloke. And you can tell them whatever you want that, yeah, there's 8 rotation players out, guys. Like Bol's not going to play 33 minutes a night. He probably doesn't play 30 minutes a night. It's not going to happen. And You want to talk all these injuries? Somehow, the most injury-prone bloke on this team, non-Voldemort division, is the one who's not hurt, and that's Bol, who's missed, I think, 2 full seasons of his NBA career through injury. And his college career. He's missed so much time. Yet he's the one staying healthy. So I think he's a massive, massive sell high. Even though I love what he's done. I want him to win Most Improved Player. I've got to bet on him at $76 to win Most Improved. I'd love for that to come true. But I've got to look at reality here. I just don't think that what he's doing now has any basis in being able to stick at this level. Gaz Harris played 36 minutes, 19, 4 and 3, 4 threes, 1 steal, 2 blocks. That's just another name to add into the mix. How do they get him minutes when these guys get healthy? I don't know. Paolo's a real problem at the moment for fantasy leagues because the free throws are bad. We knew they'd be subpar and they'd be on high volume, which would hurt, but 5 of 10 is bad. The blocks have dried up. He did have 24, 4 and 5, which is nothing to sneeze at. And it's great for a points league. It's fantastic for a points league. He's top 40 in points leagues. He's not top 100 in category leagues because of the efficiency issues and the drops in blocks. So we had worries about some of the percentage stuff, and it's actually worse. I thought we'd get more from Mo Wagner in this game. We didn't. 2 and 5 in 11 minutes, while Roderick Hampton did nothing. For the Nets, the story there, I guess, is the return. The return is not correct. The lack of return of Ben Simmons, because he had to leave with knee soreness for like the 3rd time this season, I think it is. That's pretty brutal to have him out again after just 11 minutes. He went scoreless. He had 4 rebounds, 3 assists. It doesn't appear to be serious, but who knows? Last time he missed 3 or 4 games. We want to watch that. With him out, Smoking Joe Harris started the second half, played 36 minutes, 17 and 4. I'm not looking at that to add him. Seth Curry had 3 points in 25 minutes. It was a back-to-back. They were monitoring him. So if you did have him, just hold that. Well, Durant played 39 minutes. And the worry I have here is he played 39 minutes against the Orlando Magic B team and they only still won. That is a worrying sign. And I absolutely shit myself that something's going to happen to Durant injury-wise. Hopefully not. 45, 7 and 5, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 79% for Durant. If I could sell him for a top 5 player, you probably can't. I'd do it though. I am really worried about this load. Royce O'Neal scored 5 points on 11% usage. That's the Royce I know, but he had 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals and a block. He's so far more valuable in category leagues and points leagues at the moment. I still don't fully believe it, but he's good. Nick Claxton, 17 and 13 with 3 blocks, 36 minutes, and Kyrie played 39 minutes. Unfortunately, it was pretty empty from Kyrie, 20 and 2 with 3 assists. He's struggling a little bit. Maybe he's a little bit of a buy low, but I'd find it really hard to suggest, hey, go and try and trade for Kyrie Irving. My confidence in him has been shook even more than it was beforehand with some of the foolishness that went on. When stuff comes out of left field like that, you're just what am I supposed to do with this guy? I didn't have on my bingo card Kyrie and anti-Semitic movies and anti-defamation league involvements. I didn't have that on my bingo card for what's going to derail Kyrie this season. But there we are. So who knows what on earth is around the corner. The next game, Game 6, is the Thunder and the Pelicans. The Pelicans win 105-101. For the Thunder, they didn't start the Bronco Jalen Williams, 25 minutes, 8 and 6. That's not bad. The minutes are okay. But it's more luxury. It's more stashy. If you're wanting production right now, then you move on. If you want to hold and see where it goes, you hold. But there's going to be ups and downs for a while, I think. Poku, 27 minutes, 11 and 4, 3 threes, 2 assists. Good enough. He is a must-roster player to me, Pokuševski. While Shea had 31, 6 and 4. Unfortunately, he shot just 33%. But otherwise, the counting stats are good. And we also got Jeremiah Robinson Earl into the starting lineup. 34 minutes, 10 and 13, 2 steals and a block with 2 threes. Undoubtedly, that's a really good game. But the questions have already flooded into me. Is he a must-roster player? And the answer is no. This is a good game. Yeah, it is. The upside for him is so low, and the minutes consistency is nothing. He might play 12 minutes next game. He might play 20 minutes. He might play 30 minutes. And the production's not good enough to deal with the ups and downs, I don't think. Lou Dort had 14, 3 and 5. Absolutely mediocre. It's just fine. Mediocre sounds harsh, but it's just thoroughly average. It's okay. It's better than last game. But is it good? No, it's not. Josh Giddey, not good. 28 minutes, 7, 5, and 1. He's struggling. Massive buy low to me. But Dagnott does not seem impressed with Giddey this season. He's benching him multiple times. There's a lot going wrong here with Giddey. He is a buy low, but I'm getting a little bit worried about where things are headed here. Interesting from Usman Jeng to get the 2 blocks and a steal. He played 11 minutes. He's not going to be an impact guy, but got some production. The Pelicans were without McCollum, Ingram, and Nance, 3 key parts of their rotation. Zion had the line of Zion where we go, okay, this is why we think he can be a top 10 player at some point. 23, 8 and 8, 1 steals, and guess what? Juke blocks were back. 3 of them. 61% from the field. He only took 1 free throw, but hit it. It's a ridiculously good line from Zion. The steals have been up at times this year. The blocks are up here. That's what really needs to come. And the 8 assists, point Zion. It's back. Love it. Trey Murphy, you got to have him for now. 20 points, 2 triples, 2 steals, and a block. While Herbalife Jones, look at the defensive stats. 4 steals, 3 blocks. 39 minutes. Now, that's obviously inflated because of everyone that's out. And even including this game, he's not a top 150 player over the last week. But he had 12 points. It might be a sell high, but otherwise, if you've got him, you enjoy this, and then we reevaluate later on. With McCollum out, Alvarado started 15, 2 and 4 with 2 steals. He's a good steal streamer, but I was very impressed with Dyson Daniels. Now, I worry that there's just not minutes for him. He had 8 points, 2 threes, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. That's good enough. That's good enough to be a back-end 12-team league guy if that role sticks. The problem is it just isn't going to. But he should get really most of Devontae Graham's minutes, hopefully. The worry alarm on Jonas Valanciunas should be there.
Jonas Valanciunas.
It's not even that Larry Nance played over him because Larry Nance didn't play. He just got 20 minutes. Now, I could argue that's poor coaching because I don't think we needed to say 17 minutes of Billy Hernan-Gomez, but we got them. 8 and 10 for Valanciunas. I don't think we drop him, but the top 100, I don't know whether he gets there. Devontae Graham played 18 minutes for 5 points while, as I said, Hernan-Gomez had 10 and 9 in 17 minutes. Let's do the next one. The Chicago Bulls beat the Jazz on the road 114-107. Utah are losing quite a few games in a row here without Mike Conley, who I reckon might be holding a lot of that stuff together. For the Bulls, DeRozan was great again. 26, 4 and 6. No threes this time, but a solid game for him. While the big fella, Nikola Vucevic.
It's Big Vucevic.
16 and 9. He continues to be a little bit underwhelming this season, 44th for the year. But that's not a bad line. It was also good from Andre Drummond to get a double-double. Do not overreact to it, though. He's still rostered, inexplicably, in like 32% of 12-team leagues. There's no need for it. 10 and 10 for Drummond, who's averaging 20 fantasy points, and is outside the top 175 for category leagues. Good double-double, sure, that's it. Kobe White played in the closing lineup and played more minutes than Ayo Dosunmu. My anti-Dosunmu agenda is coming. It's working in my favor. It's not. I don't hate the bloke. I just didn't think he was that good. And he is falling way off. And if you haven't already, you can jack him off.
Get that garbage out of here!
8, 4 and 3 for Dosunmu. It was a rough night from Patty Williams. 5 and 5 in 25 minutes. I do think he's probably a hold in 12-team leagues. While Kobe White, it's interesting. 15 points, 3 threes. He was in the closing lineup. Not a bad game. Probably look 16-team leagues. Not much more than that. While Dragic's little hot streak is over there as well. I wonder if they make any changes with Dosunmu starting. I don't think they will, but maybe they should. Alex Caruso, 27 minutes. He's only a steal streamer and he didn't get any here. And that's part of the problem with guys like that. He shouldn't be rostered in really as many leagues as he is either. For the Jazz, Larry Markin got his revenge game going. 32 and 9 with 7 triples, 67% shooting. Great game. Fantastic game. 38 minutes. Should have done maybe a little bit more towards the end, but whatever. And Olynyk, another big one from the big fella. Still available in like 25% of leagues. Figure it out. I can't. 23, 4 and 4, 5 triples, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Imagine just finding a top 60 player sitting on the waiver wire. Your league must be pretty slow. Colin Sexton played 36 minutes, 17, 4 and 6. He's establishing himself solidly without Mike Conley, and we just keep rolling with him there. And Beasley had 11 with 3 threes, 4 assists and 2 steals. He's a 12-team league guy. We're getting to the stage, though, that Jared Vanderbilt, I don't know that he's got big upside in him. I'm pretty confident of that. 9 and 7 in 22 minutes. The rebounds are nice. But I don't think we need to hold him. If you want to drop Jared Vanderbilt, go for it. They also played Udoka Azubuike, who I could have sworn had his like 20th ankle surgery or something. I know he didn't. But he played over Walker Kessler. Kessler had been playing well. And then they used Azubuike because Andre Drummond's physicality was getting to them. All right, Azubuike had 2 and 5. Kessler had 0 and 3. Kessler's a block streamer. That's all he is. He's not a must-roster player. It was a rough night from the man on the street, Jordan Clarkson.
JordanClarkson.
Only 8 points on 20% shooting, but he had 6 rebounds. He had 9 assists. He's been really, really solid this season, although still only the 100th ranked player in category leagues, 83rd in the old points league. So we hope we can get a little bit more out of him. I think he's relatively stable for this team down the stretch, but we'll find out, won't we, whether there is any drop-off or anything like that is coming along. For the next game, the Rockets and the Nuggets. I've got a bit to talk about with the Rockets. They lose 129-113, but at least we had the right decision initially to start the delicate dancer, Alperen Şengün.
It's a delicate dance in just 17 steps.
But he played just 23 minutes. He had 18 and 7 against the reigning two-time MVP, Nikola Jokic. 18 and 7. He played 18 first half minutes, and then Steven Silas said, no, you're going to play 5 second half minutes. Now, he got his third foul just before halftime, and he was replaced for the final minute there by Bruno Fernando. And then in the second half, we just got silenced, I guess. Embarrassing coaching, again, from this bloke. But it was also just weird the way he ran the rotation in general. Jabari Smith played 17 minutes. Kevin Porter played under 30 minutes. I don't really understand what happened. I don't get it. These rotational minutes don't make sense. The encouraging thing is that Şengün started and Garuba was his backup and Fernando was nowhere to be seen. Now, Fernando had 4 and 2 in 8 minutes. Do not add Bruno in 12 or 14 team leagues. And keep holding on to Şengün. But, like, I don't get it. I don't get the minutes. Jabari Smith had been playing well prior to this game as well, but he took 4 shots. He hit 3 threes. 75% shooting, but 17 minutes. He did have 3 fouls, and that limited him. KJ Martin had 15 and 6. That's fine. He's a 14-team league player. Jalen Green, 17, 2 and 7. Another good assist night, but absolutely nothing defensively. Bad rebounds and poor percentages. Kevin Porter had 12, 4 and 6. Didn't hurt your free throws because he didn't take any. Just an overall weird box score. We had 19 Dacian Knicks minutes. 7, 1 and 4 for Nixie. I mean, cool. Tari preseason had 6 points with a steal. He's a luxury stash player who can get some steals. We know this, but it's going to take a lot, it appears, for numbnuts to play him in a proper role. And I hate to think what happens when Tate comes back. At least we avoided the Fernando starting over Şengün, but I would not be shocked if Fernando gets the nod next game. The fact that Şengün played 18 first half minutes, let's go. This is exciting. And then 5 in the second half. I guess, he had to reduce his minutes so he prevented him fouling out. And in the end, all he did was prevent him from playing the minutes that he would have played had he fouled out anyway. Like stupidity. Dumb coaching. Again, from Steven Silas. What a shock. Name a better combo. Again, this game did get blown out a little bit. So that is why some of the minutes, the Nuggets did take over in that second half. But I still think it's pretty ridiculous to see only 17 Jabari Smith minutes and 23 Şengün minutes. It's pretty ridiculous. For the Nuggets, Big Chungus had 32, 12, and 8. He played just 27 minutes, while the headmaster, I think he had 22 minutes in the first half, 22 points in the first half, ended with 13, 2 and 5, a steal and a block. This is how an ACL recovery should look. He's back to his best already. 1 month in, we're back. The Shark, Bruce Brown, had 12, 3 and 3 with a steal and a block. Sorry, 2 steals and a block. Baby Shark, I think KCP's a drop. Like, he's not a guy that you have to have. In a points league, see you later, right? He's not a guy you have to drop, but 8 points, 2 threes, 2 assists. He's 118th for the season. His value, if you look at overall ranks and totals, is going to be propped up by no turnovers, which doesn't matter when you're not really counting the other numbers. I think you can do better than him. Aaron Gordon had been shooting and producing at a ridiculously high level, but he had 4 fouls here. That's why he played only 14 minutes. And it was a bad night, 4 and 3. He'd been absolutely cranking, top 20 over the last week. But, this is not a great performance. While Vlatko Čančar got the backup minutes. Unfortunately, we didn't really see how that rotation worked because he got 19, Najee got 18, and DeAndre Jordan swindled his way into 19 as well for an 8 and 10 double-double. Čančar is a back-end, 18 to 20 team league player, but at least he might get rotation minutes now. But again, this game is so weird, given the way the minutes are distributed, given the sort of second half blowout nature of it, to really understand much about how either of these coaches are going about things, unfortunately for us. Before we go on to the next game, just after the game, Nikola Jokic had some interesting things to say about Alperen Şengün. The quote is, he thinks that the Rockets, well, not a quote, this is what he said. He said, thinks the Rockets should be playing through Şengün more and that they get stagnant. Using Şengün more as a fulcrum should help their stagnancy, according to Jokic. I agree. Şengün's really good. And the Rockets, the dipshits, don't really know how to best utilize him. It's going to be really frustrating to see if anything, if he does get limited to 22 minutes a night, or 23 minutes a night or whatever they're doing. Because I agree, he could really still blow up into a really good player over the next couple of years. And interesting that Jokic said that. Okay. Let's go to the next game. The Suns, they survive against the Sacramento Kings. They were up a lot of times, double digits, and the Kings just kept coming and just kept coming. They end up winning 122-117, the final score here. Phoenix gets that victory in Sacramento. No beam being lit for the Suns. Let's start with, where am I? Completely lost what I was looking at there. I need to get that back. Where is it? Where did it go? Anyway, technical difficulties. We'll be back in a sec. All right, it's back. 122-117, the Suns, without Chris Paul, without Cam Johnson. Devin Booker played 41 minutes. He had 44, 8, and 4 with 6 steals. It's a gigantic, gigantic game. 61% shooting. He had struggled a little bit before this game, but this is obviously great. Not massively struggled, but struggled a little bit over that last week period in relativity to where he had been in the past. But this is obviously, without any sort of doubt at all, a fantastic performance. And those 6 steals in particular, getting 6 steals out of Devin Booker, you absolutely love getting that, don't you? He had been, 128th prior to this game over the last week because he had subpar field goals, below 40%, below 2 threes a game, below average free throw attempts, and had 1 steal and 1 block over the entirety of the week. And it dropped him way down. This will push him back up. Mikal Bridges didn't shoot well, 43%, hit a key shot late, but had 3 steals and 3 blocks in his 40 minutes to go with 13, 8, and 7. He's been really, really strong at times, not times, for most of the season, and another good game here. DeAndre Ayton had been really good, and before this game, he was the 8th best player over the last week. That's not going to hold, but 35 minutes, 17 and 12. Unfortunately, he had no threes or no blocks and shot 1 of 2 from the line. Not his best night. Torrey Craig was just solid, 11, 5, and 3. Keep rolling with him. And now we're getting more of this Bismack Biyombo, Jock Landale mixing and matching of backup minutes. I don't like it, and it's really hard to predict who's going to get those minutes on a given night. Bad game from Cameron Payne, 24 minutes. He had 5 fouls, so that's why the minutes were down. He had 5 points on 10 shots because he was a bad shooter. He had 7 assists, though, and we still just keep holding him until Chris Paul returns, and then we very clearly just move on. Good fourth quarter from Damian Lee. He ended up with 15 points with 3 threes. He's been a solid enough 3-point streamer when you're looking for that category. On the Kings side of things, let's talk about Sabonis, who had a 17, 9, and 10 game with a steal and 2 blocks. A fantastic performance from Sabonis. And it was also a huge Malik Monk game. 30 points, 8 assists with 2 threes. Now, Monk, prior to this, had been the 144th ranked player over the last week. This will jump back up. And you know what I've been saying about Monk? I think he's totally fine to have on a 12-team league. But I also get that if your team is too stacked and you want to move on and stream him, he's going to be very up and down. This was great. He won't shoot 71% or get 8 assists a game. He just won't. And you might have 10 points with 3 assists next game, and that's not useful. It's going to be up and down, and that's why he's a back-end player. De'Aaron Fox is outside the top 100 over the last week. He's going to soon tumble outside the top 20 for the season because, as we were well aware, well, most of us were well aware, he was not going to continue doing what he did. 11, 5, and 5 on 33% shooting. The 3 blocks are nice, but he only hit 1 3. The shooting was never going to stick. It was impossible to stick, and it's not sticking. No one should be shocked at this. I'm a little bit shocked that Fanta Pants didn't hit a 3, Kevin Huerter, but 18 and 7 with 3 steals. I guess what I'm more encouraged about here is the fact that he didn't hit a 3, and we knew that 50% 3-point shooting, which was propping him into the top 60 or top 70, was unrealistic to stick. But to have a good game like this without hitting any 3s is super encouraging. He's going to be a back-end 12-team league player. Keegan Murray, only 23 minutes, no foul trouble. This is the worry with Murray. worry with Murray. It's not like Jabari Smith would go, well, he's playing 30 minutes, he's getting 8 rebounds, he's blocking shots, and he's shooting 30%. It's going to come up. This is just Murray not being liked, I guess, by Mike Brown. It's not the right term. It's that Mike Brown's like, well, man, we want to win games. You're not actually doing it for us, so you're not playing. And it's not like, well, everything's there except for the shooting, and you're not going to shoot 30%. He had 11 and 2, 46%. The defensive stats haven't translated from college, and he's getting under 25 minutes a night. To me, the difference, and people have asked me, hey, you say that rookies are going to get better at the end of the season, so why would you say hold on to Jabari Smith, but drop Keegan Murray or consider dropping Benedict Mathurin? And the reason is pretty simple to me. With all of these, when I look at Bylows and Salhais and all those guys, we give them until the end of November to see what's up with them. And the minutes can come up from Murray, but the reason the minutes are down is because he's not contributing to winning as a rookie, and this team wants to win. Right? He just isn't, and the defensive stats haven't translated. The reason it's different to Jabari is that they're going to give him 30 minutes a night, Jabari, and he wasn't going to shoot 30%. It was a really easy thing to see where he could easily jump 13 percentage points, whereas Murray doesn't have that in him. He doesn't have that ability. Mathurin's shooting well and getting to the line a ton and still not useful for fantasy. So if that stuff falls away, then where is the value? What is the improvement here? Mathurin had a poor fantasy translation coming through because of the lack of counting stats and lack of peripheral stats. And that's translated to the same way to the NBA. And while he's shooting unbelievably, like if that falls away, like he doesn't have the luxury of like, oh, well, the shots will fall. The shots are falling at a high rate. And if they don't, well, then the value falls away. And it's sort of the same with Murray. It's not like he's just shooting poorly. He's just at a position where he's not going to get the rebounds that he got at college because of the position he plays, fine. The defensive stats and the blocks were never going to come across like that. And because he's not contributing to winning, he doesn't get the minutes. He doesn't get entitlement minutes, doesn't get luxury minutes like someone like Jabari does. So that is why I've got a different thought process on these guys. Also, it doesn't hurt, or it obviously impacts my evaluation when I wasn't as high on Keegan Murray. I didn't view him as a top 4 player in this draft. I think I had him 7th. So my leeway on him goes, yeah, okay, I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's a top 4 player. And the reason he's not performing is because that's in line with how I thought of him originally. I think he's better than this, but I also wouldn't be waiting to hold on to him. And I hope all of that makes sense in terms of how my thought process goes. The pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. Remember we talked about Barnes and say, hey, this is a hot streak. It's going to cool off. 6 points on 25% shooting. Didn't hit a 3, had 2 rebounds. Played 28 minutes. Had 9% usage. I mean, he's better than this, but he's worse than what he was doing. And he's back outside the top 120 over the last week. Outside the top 130 over the last week. The upside's not there as a long-term thing. Move on. You don't have to hold on to him. Terrence Davis was pretty good, 11 and 8 in 19 minutes, but we don't need to fall for the Terrence Davis dance again. All right, let's do the last game. What a stupid game. What a stupid team. What a stupid league. The Pacers beat the Lakers 116-115 on an Andrew Nembhard game-winning three-pointer. What on earth happened in this game? One of the dumbest games that I've seen in a long time. Tyrese Halliburton, just a casual 14 assists again. I feel like, maybe I'm wrong on this, I think that's the 4th time in his last 5 games he's had at least 14 assists. Oh, and he had 0 turnovers. It's ridiculous. I don't think he's had a turnover in his last 3 games. He's been dominating. He had 24, 7, and 14. He had the game-tying layup, and then he had the game-winning assist. He had a steal and a block. He's been ludicrous. Miles Turner shot poorly early on, but 15, 13, and 4 with 3 blocks is bloody good. While Nembhard finished with 12 points, 4 threes, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 29 minutes. And with his return, as we thought, it meant TJ McConnell's irrelevant. 13 minutes for McConnell, 2 points, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. And he's going to be more irrelevant when Chris Duarte returns. Andrew Neesmith started. He had 16 points with 4 threes, but I do think Nembhard is going to get in there. And Andy can be maybe a 14-team league guy. He's really good in this one. Benny Mathurin, 32 minutes. That's good. 23 and 8. The 8 assists are good, but didn't attempt a free throw. Had 1 assist. This is what we talk about when we say he lacks a little bit for the fantasy category leagues. 23 and 8 is solid. It's not bad. Like, it's a pretty good game. But there's still not the peripherals that are there all the time. This is good. It wasn't good from Sticks.
Stand by your man.
He was great last game. But this is why we don't panic too much about dropping him. 9, 3, and 2. He had a 1-1, but 25% shooting. We didn't panic. He played 24 minutes. He wasn't going to do what he did last game. Isaiah Jackson plays 4 minutes. That's pretty bad. He had 1 rebound, 1 block. He's a droppable player. He has been for a while in terms of when I say this, I haven't actually flat out said drop Isaiah Jackson because I'm not here telling you what to do. What I have said with him ad nauseum is he's a luxury stash. If you have the ability to hold someone while understanding that they're not producing the value at the moment, then he's a great option for that because if Turner's traded, he's a top 50 player. But otherwise, if someone's a luxury stash, it means they're not producing enough at the moment. Maybe I should have been clear on that. But you don't have to hold on to Isaiah Jackson. He's a guy that if you have the luxury, if you're coasting, if you've got a large bench, if you're in a situation where you're just winning anyway, then you hold him because the upside's great. Otherwise, you piss him off. I think Buddy Hield's a buy low. 15 points on 13 shots. He didn't do much here. He's outside the top 140 over the last week. I think he's better than this. But we also know that he was on the Sell High show a couple of weeks ago because he was a top 20 player then. And that wasn't going to stick either. He's somewhere in the middle. For the Lakers, let's talk about Anthony Davis, who returned. He had 25, 13, and 6 with 4 blocks. Unbelievable. He's been so good. And LeBron hurt his ankle again, unfortunately. 21 points on 36% shooting. He was bad from the line. He had 21, 7, and 3. And the LeBron struggles continue. He did return from the ankle sprain, played through it. But we have to worry to see whether anything happens there. Westbrook had a pretty good game, 24, 4, and 6. Unfortunately, there was a little stretch of time where he was hitting his free throws. He's not doing that any longer. So that value's gone. He's still outside the top 100 in category leagues this season. He's inside the top 70 for points leagues. We know the differentiation there for Russ in his game. And for some category leagues, he'll make sense to have. For others, he won't. Austin Reeves played 31 minutes. Good. He's a good player. 13 points, 2 threes. He's a nice 14-team league guy. But what we wanted to see was what was Dennis Schroeder going to do when Anthony Davis was back? And the answer, predictably, was nothing. 8 points, 4 assists, 30 minutes. There's no point for him to be on the court when Westbrook's there and LeBron's there. He serves no purpose. He doesn't touch it. He's not going to get assists. And you, absolutely, I don't believe, need to have him in a 12-team league.
Get that garbage out of here!
In fact, Pat Beverly will be back next game. Now, whether they start him or not, I don't know. But I actually don't care. I don't care whether Beverly starts over Schroeder, because Schroeder starting on this team doesn't mean he's a 12-team league player. And I think we might be getting there with Lonnie Walker.
Hello.
As you are well aware, I am a Lonnie Walker skeptic. And a lot of what he was doing to start this season didn't seem really rooted in reality. 22 minutes for him, 9, 4, and 2. He just lacks the ability to contribute outside of scoring. And at the start of the year, he was scoring at percentages way above career norms, and everything's cut back down. Now, is the 22 minutes something that he's going to do every night? I expect him to play more, but as Schroeder's there now, Beverly will return. It is hard to get those minutes, especially when players like Austin Reeves are better than you. So if I have Walker and I wanted to drop him, like I'm in a 10-team league, I would happily drop Lonnie Walker. Not a problem whatsoever. Even in a points league, no worries, drop him. In a 12-team league, it would depend on who I'd add. But if I had Lonnie Walker, he's my worst player almost definitely. And if I wanted to take a crack at Kyle Anderson or Jaden McDaniels if he was dropped, or even have a look at a Jalen Noel in Minnesota, I don't think you're losing much dropping Lonnie Walker. Am I biased against Lonnie Walker? No, I think he's a great bloke. Seems like a good guy. Am I biased against the statistics that he's put up throughout every season of his career? No, because they're just literally the numbers that he's put up. So, I just don't look at a guy that can go out and score these points without doing anything else and then do that infrequently as being a great fantasy asset. That's how I view him. Troy Brown had 3 points, but he had 10 boards. He's like a very deep league player. While Kendrick Nunn, I was right to say Kendrick Nunn is bad. 5 points in 11 minutes for old Nunna. Let's go to the lines of the night. The monstrous goes to Kevin Durant, just barely, but he gets there. Number 1. Number 2, when I talk about waiver wire, is Gary Harris. Yeah, big game from Gaz. I don't think we need to read too much into that, but big game here. Young gun of the night is Trey Murphy. Just keep holding him in 12-team leagues. And the dud of the night is the cockroach, Mason Plumlee. Your top 10 players in category leagues, Durant was 1, Porzingis 2, Booker 3, Marcus Smart 4, Embiid at 5, Sabonis 6, Zion 7, Jokic 8, Garland 9, and Malik Monk at number 10. Your top 10 players rostered under 50% of leagues. Gary Harris. No, don't need to do anything there. Jalen McDaniels. Stream for the short term, but I don't really like that long term. Ish Smith, ignore it. Jalen Noel, maybe. With Towns out, maybe. Andrew Nembhard, I like it for 14-team leaguers. Same with Jeremiah Robinson-Earl. Sam Hauser's a 3-point streamer. Aaron Neesmith's a 3-point streamer for deep leagues. And Teo Maledon, only if all those Hornets guys are still out on Friday, and I doubt that. And then 10 is Will Barton, and absolutely, sorry kids. I'm not going to say it. No, I'm not going to say it. Fuck you, Will. All right, points leagues. Top 10 players. Booker at 1, then Durant, Porzingis, Davis, Halliburton, Embiid, Jokic, Zion, Tatum, and Marcus Smart. And guys, that'll do it for me today. Don't forget to follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on Odyssey. Throw a thumbs up on YouTube, like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Leave a comment. I'm done. It's a long show. Guys, we're done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.